Hello, everyone. This podcast on emotion and motivation is part of a series of materials produced within the Erasmus Plus project Find Your Talent, Work on Your Skills, which unfolded between 2019 and 2022 with the involvement, efforts, and work of a wonderful team of young people, youth workers from the Netherlands, Belgium, Poland, and Romania. More details below in the description. When talking about emotions, there's a huge difficulty in defining them. However, we all agree that when we do face emotional situations, the body reacts. The heart starts to beat, to vibrate. It stops or it collapses and freezes. Our palms become sweaty, our muscles are tense, and then they get relaxed. We feel our blood boiling, our faces get red, or we freeze and then we smile. We notice these reactions about ourselves and we make suppositions, we assume about other people's emotional lives, relying on these visible body answers. These changes are clear and strong, as psychologist William James talks about, when we deal with the so-called inferior or basic emotions: fear, pain, fury, love. However, when we talk about more subtle emotions, more elaborate, more complex ones, then just seeing somebody's body and reactions is not enough. There's a lot more work to get to know these emotions of ourselves or of the others, by observing, by analyzing, by getting more insight on what that emotion actually is. We are not driven to act in different ways just by our biological needs, by our basic necessities, by our wishes, but also by a diverse range of emotions, and especially in dealing with young people at an age where they discover so much about themselves and about the world. These emotions are very important because they are the drivers and they are the factors that motivate them into doing some things or other things. This is why it is very important for youth workers to understand a basic principle that another researcher, John Erpenbeck, said, and I quote: "Action necessarily presupposes emotion." So for young people to act for their own future, or to act in the sense of self-developing themselves, or reaching out to accommodating other people's needs, or to work for the greater good of the community, it's important for them to have emotions, to be invested emotionally in what they do. As such, a desire to change or put new things on the agenda is not necessarily intellectual, but it's also an expression of intrinsic emotional motivation. Creative processes include emotions of all kinds, like positive ones, new visions for the future, embracing something new, showing happiness, gratitude towards certain aspects of life. But also they involve, in other contexts, negative emotions, such as protest, disagreement. A lot of artworks, a lot of music, even music genres like rap, are actually forms of protest and disagreement to today's society, or to various processes or phenomena that are not so good. This is why when we talk about youth work, we need to put these valuable emotions to work by bringing them to the surface and making emotions accessible for the learners to reflect on. Many times young people, but also this applies to adults, are not really in touch with their basic emotions, and they're not very much aware of their own behaviors and skills as a result of this. The more you are connected with your emotions and feelings, the more likely it is that you will be interested in self-development, and you will have a space for this self-development to take place. People need learning processes where they feel safe and able to create. In this context, safety means being able to express non-conforming or unfiltered ideas without negative consequences. The so-called metaphor of thinking out of the box, well, actually all creators think outside of the box. All creators challenge norms. All creators challenge the already existing suppositions and foundations. And especially young people have this feeling of protesting to what already exists, of reconstructing behaviors and realities. And this is not a bad thing in itself. This is a good thing. And this is why in youth work, and especially in talent development, it's important to create these free spaces for young people to express their emotions. One crucial emotion without which creativity would be impossible is motivation. The optimal state of motivation is when the challenges a person faces and his or her own abilities are balanced. In other words, in this instance, a person acts with passion and without feeling like he or she is exerting tremendous effort. This goes into the so-called state of flow that we talked in other moments, in another context. Youth workers, educators in general, must avoid asserting too much control over the learner's mind, leaving them enough space for their own flow to evolve. According to researchers such as Oatley, we cannot choose our emotions, but we can change them. We can interpret them. We can alter the implications of how we feel and of the emotions that we face with. Besides, emotions have different functions within the process of motivating yourself for certain actions. Some emotions that we live after certain events in our life will impact us and change the course of our lives, the course of things that we like or dislike. In other contexts, emotions can lead to new directions, to new motivations, to new behaviors, and as such, they will basically shape our entire existence. Especially for young people, this is very much a valid point.